What's up, everybody? I'm Bat Tracy for Punk Rock Blues. That's them. Hey everybody, I'm Bat Tracy, Punk Rock Blues, back for a solo video today, a vidya. This is something, I want to say it's heavily requested, and by that I mean two separate people I've talked to about this topic, and now I'm making a video about it. Boom, boom, boom. Technically I'm splitting into 3 videos, but oh well. So, this is going to be my top 50 favorite movies of all time. I'm going to do 50 to 31. Then we do 30 all the way down to 11. Then I'll do the last top 10 in the third video. That's how I'm doing it. My criteria is just, it's my favorite movies, ones I can rewatch anytime, but also some are less about rewatchable factability and just more about quality. So it's two things. It's quality of the film and also rewatchability factor. So there'll be some where you'll be like, that's weirdly ranked. I just like to rewatch it more so than some others. Yeah. Also, I did my best to not include any franchises on this list. So, like, the MCU, I wanted to just put the MCU as a whole on in one of these slots. Decided against that. So there's no MCU, there's no Star Wars, there's like no Lord of the Rings or Mission Impossible or Fast and Furious, any of those. I'm going to do a separate, like, my favorite franchises video, I think. Night Loner Films. This is something we talked about. The Coen Brothers. You might notice, hey, there's no Coen Brothers movies on any of this list anywhere. It's because there's too many of them. You know what? I would have like 10 of their movies on my top 50 list, and I didn't want to put them as a whole, so I'm going to use them for a separate list down the line. But this is going to be my top 50 favorite movies. Wha-bam! Let's get it started. Alright, starting off at number 50 is Wha-bam! Big Trouble, directed by Barry Sonnenfeld. Acclaimed director, noted for such hits as like The Addams Family 1 and 2, Men in Black, Wild Wild West, RV, classics, man. I really like this guy, Barry Sonnenfeld. I really like his work, actually. He makes really, really weird, goofy movies. He's said it himself before, where he likes working with characters that are kind of oddballish and weird, and like just set into weird scenarios. And this one, Big Trouble, is so goofy, but it's one of the, I think, most underrated comedies ever, because it got such a small release, because the movie's about a bomb on an airplane, basically, and it came out right after 9/11, so they didn't promote it very heavily or anything. It really was downplayed, so it's very underrated. Not a lot of people have seen it, but I think it's really, really, really funny and clever. It's got a great cast. Tim Allen in a really, probably his best performance ever, I would say. Mark Strong's in this, Rene Russo's in this, DJ Qualls is in this, Zooey Deschanel is in this, Ben Foster is in this. I think this and X-Men The Last Stand are probably like the two first things I ever saw Ben Foster in. He's amazing. We'll get to him later. Patrick Warburton's in this, Janine Garofalo's in this. There's so many people, and just the way that everybody's stories tie together. Johnny Knoxville's fucking in this. The way that the stories all tie together, and the cleverness of the story, and all the jokes, like, it never stops. I love this movie, and it's my top 50, or it's my number 50 starting this list off.
What the hell are gators?
Football, college.
Morons.
Alright, number 49 is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. This title always makes me stumble a little bit. This is directed by Michael Gondry or Michel Gondry? Michael? I don't know how to say it. It's probably Michael or Michael. This movie should be ranked higher because it's incredible. Like, this is a truly amazing movie. It's basically like Jim Carrey falls in love with a female and loves her so much, but then they break up, and he wants to erase basically every memory he has of her from his mind, because he's like, I'm sad all the time, you know? And it's a truly incredible movie. Jim Carrey, Elijah Wood, the actress, I cannot remember her name. I will put it on screen, though. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But this is a truly amazing movie. It should be ranked higher, but it hits a little too close to home for me, so I wanted to put it a little bit lower, because I just have a really hard time rewatching this one, because it is so fucking sad.
Look at it out here! It's all falling apart!
Alright, coming in at number 48 is Reign Over Me, written and directed by Mike Binder or Binder, whichever. It's probably Binder, I would say. But this is with Don Cheadle and Adam Sandler, and I think this is probably Adam Sandler's best performance of his entire career. This is a truly, truly great movie about two college buddies. They were like, dorm mates in college or whatever, and then they go their separate ways. Adam Sandler's family ends up dying in 9/11. He is alive still, but his two daughters and his wife die, and he's just a fucking mess. And Don Cheadle basically reconnects with him, and they become friends again, connecting over video games and music. And it's basically like Adam Sandler's character's struggle just to find himself again and rejoin society. And I don't know, this movie, it's really sad, but it's really heartfelt and touching. And I really, really enjoy this one. I love Adam Sandler. I could have put a ton of his movies on this list. Specifically, That's My Boy, which is, I know it's awful, but I love it. But yeah, this is one of my favorites from him, so.
Look at him. He's a giant dork. Looks like a lump of shit that someone left on the sidewalk.
Charlie, coming in at number 47. This will probably be a shocker that it's ranked. I guess you could call it so high. But man, I tell you, I could have done a top 100 movie list and it would have been easier than doing top 50. Really had to narrow it down. But coming in number 47, this is Tommy Wiseau's The Room. Boom, 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 boom. Say what you will, this is an awful movie, but I fucking love this movie. It makes me laugh so goddamn hard. It is endlessly quotable. The performances are so over the top and so goddamn silly. Nothing in this movie makes sense, but somehow it's very relatable. Like, the character of Johnny, which is who Tommy Wiseau plays, I don't know, I find his story so fascinating and so relatable, where he's just a guy who loves a girl a lot, and then she's like sleeping with his best friend and starting trouble about how, like, lying about how he beat her and just all this crazy shit, and it all just comes tumbling down for him, and he watches his life just go boom, and just, yeah, it's crazy. Greg Sestero, I don't know how he's put up with Tommy Wiseau for so long. Like, if you haven't seen The Disaster Artist, which is based on the making of this movie, you should go see that, because this movie is just, it's baffling. It's baffling.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hey, Johnny, what's up?
Coming in at number 46, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, directed by Garth Jennings. I have a list, so if you notice my eyes go down, so I can't remember the director. This movie, starring Sam Rockwell, Martin Freeman, Mos Def, Zooey Deschanel, and a whole slew of others. Fucking, it's got Alan Rickman as the voice of a robot. Like, this movie, I've never read the book. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be upfront. I've never read the book, so I don't know the source material. But this movie's great. It's so silly, but it's so fun. It's a science fiction movie where basically Martin Freeman wakes up, the Earth is going to be destroyed, he gets taken off into space, and just hilarity and insanity ensues. Fucking Sam Rockwell is amazing in this. Something you might notice over the course of this 50 movies list is Sam Rockwell's name is going to pop up quite a bit. I really like him. But this is just, it's so silly and so goofy, and the movie opens with like a 5-minute song sung by dolphins. It's crazy. Like, I know it underperformed financially and maybe critically, I'm not sure. I really love this movie. I can watch it anytime. Specifically, this is one of those movies where, I'll mention this a few times on this list, but there's a whole handful of movies where I always watch like one certain scene just over and over. Like, I'll go on YouTube and just watch that scene. And this is one of them with the dolphin song. I'll watch that all the time. It's so funny.
But in fact, the message was this. So long, and thanks for all the fish.
Alright, number 45. Back to more of a serious film. This is The Wrestler, directed by Darren Aronofsky. This movie is fucking crazy how good it is. I honestly don't really care about Darren Aronofsky. I know his like movies are acclaimed or whatever. I have no interest in this guy's work outside of this movie. I think this one is phenomenal, though. I'm a big wrestling fan. We don't talk about it on the channel a lot because we're more dedicated to movies here. But we both love professional wrestling, like WWE. Really excited about All Elite Wrestling. So if you guys are fascinated in that, let me know down below. But this movie is just a crazy, crazy detailed look inside the business and how the wrestling industry works, and the people that the people that work in it and live in it, and just everything about it. It's so detailed and so grisly, and just I love this movie. Like this movie respects professional wrestling in a way that even professional wrestling doesn't sometimes. You know what I mean? It's so great, and there's tons and tons of independent wrestlers at the time who have cameos in this movie. Like I know Cesaro from WWE, he was on the independent scene at the time. He's in this movie. Jay Lethal, I think. I'm pretty sure Jimmy Jacobs, maybe. Maybe I'll put a list or something right here of all the wrestlers who appear in it. But I really, really love this movie. Also, Mickey Rourke as the wrestler is just fucking...
I want you to give this to your little guy. It's a Randy the Ram action figure.
Number 45. Directed by Steven Spielberg, whose name you'll probably see a lot in this list. Raiders of the Lost Ark, starring Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. I was gonna do the Indiana Jones theme, and then I realized I don't know it off the top of my head. Indiana Jones, what can I say? This is a fucking classic. Like, everybody has seen this movie. This is easily my favorite of the Indiana Jones franchise, because most of them are not very good, to be honest with you. This one is amazing, though. Really, really enjoyed this one. I think it kind of falls apart a little bit, like right at the end, where it goes really supernatural. But for the most part, this is just a really fun, straight-up action adventure movie where Indiana Jones, really, what I love about the Indiana Jones character is that he's not like a super macho action hero, as more, he's just a fucking professor who's just getting beat up so much. Like, he takes like 20 punches, and then like something will happen with the bad guy where, you know, he'll take a tumble, and then Indiana Jones is like, oh, I can get the upper hand, and boom, I win this fight. The thing I love most about Indiana Jones is that he gets knocked down, but then he gets up again. You know, kind of like the infamous words of Chumbawamba. Yeah, I really love this movie. There's just some iconic scenes in this. Specifically, you know, the airplane fight, the boulder with the opening where it's Alfred Molina, who would go on to become Dr. Octopus. Special shout out to Spider-Man 2. So close being on this list. Though I think my favorite scene, or at least favorite little bit, is when the dude comes out with the swords and he's like twirling the swords or whatever, and Indiana Jones just pulls out his gun and shoots him. Classic. Love it. Coming in at number 43, this is a more recent movie from 2014. This is Nightcrawler, directed by Dan Gilroy, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Riz Ahmed, and I'm pretty sure Renee Russo. If it's a different actress, I'll put it right here, but I'm pretty sure it's her. This movie is phenomenal. Like, I just saw this for the first time a couple years ago. I missed it when it came out, but I always wanted to see, because I remember the trailer just being amazing. And this movie is truly, truly impeccable. Like, it is, I don't know, it's supposed to, I think it's supposed to be like a weird drama thriller, but I view it more as a dark comedy, like a really, really dark comedy, because it's super dark and fucked up, and basically, like, Jake Gyllenhaal plays a news reporter who will do anything to like get the most like gnarly like stories on the news. Like, he'll break into a house that people have just been murdered in to film it and shit, and it's really, really dark, but I think it's really sickly funny. Like, I don't know, it's a great movie though. Like, words can't describe how good this movie is if you haven't seen it. Like, it's truly, truly good.
Can you tell me exactly what happened?
Will you get the camera out of my face? Get it out! I'm trying to talk to 911!
Coming in at number 42, a sci-fi movie from Duncan Jones. This is Moon, starring Sam Rockwell. See what I mean? Kevin Spacey also voices the like AI system in the movie, which going back, you're like, oh god, Kevin Spacey, you're a bad dude. But Sam Rockwell, it's basically just him for most of this movie, like, if not all. Well, I mean, not all, because there's other people, but I mean, most of the movie is just Sam Rockwell. And it's basically like, He's just stuck on the moon. He's like a scientist who lives at a space station. He's supposedly like conducting experiments for the company that he works for and able to, you know, spend enough time there or whatever to go back home and see his daughter that's still on Earth. But maybe he's being cloned. Maybe he's not even real. Those are the questions asked in Moon. And I'm not usually a fan of these type of movies, but overall Moon's probably one of my favorite sci-fi movies, or like straight up science fiction movie, just in general. Like, I fucking love this movie. It's really, really good. Sam Rockwell is one of my favorite actors of all time. It's just, he nails it. Literally every movie, every role he's in, he's so committed, and just, in this movie, he's great. Like, because it's mainly him.
She said, let's get a drink. I said, okay.
Coming in at number 41, a cult classic, I would say, or just even a regular classic, maybe. Halloween, from 1978, directed by John Carpenter. I would say this is like what started the slasher film genre. It's not started, perfected it, and everything that's come after has just been trying to, you know, build back up to that. And honestly, it was really a toss-up for me between the 78 version and the 2018 version. I could have included both on this list. If you ask me, I think they're both just immaculate. But I chose the original because it's just, I can watch this movie endlessly. I've seen it probably a dozen times. It never gets old. I watch it most years around Halloween time. Just, and oh man, the score of this, it was composed and scored by John Carpenter himself. He did almost all the work on this movie. It was super, super independent, low budget. But it is just impeccable. Started the career of Jamie Lee Curtis, started the legend, I would say, of Michael Myers in the franchise that has spawned off that with like fucking 12 sequels, most of them bad. And yeah, just, this is an amazing movie. You've probably even seen this. Like, it's always on A&E, I think around Halloween time. You've probably seen it. Everybody should see this. Go see it if you haven't. It's pretty old, but I think it holds up. It's not super, like, gory either, but it's great. Like, oh, man. I love this movie. So good.
Michael?
Coming in at number 40, this is the most recent movie on this list. And honestly, I wanted to include it higher, but I was like, nah, it's too recent. I got to lower it a little bit. This is Shazam, directed by David F. Sandberg, from 2019, part of the DCEU, and obviously it's the best movie in the DCEU because it's the only one on this list. This movie is just amazing, okay? It's a superhero movie that's bright and colorful, but it's got dark elements to it. It's got disaster. It's got, you know, scary terror, but it's got, like, great action, colorful moments. It's funny. It's got great dialogue. It's got heart. It's got great characters, a great story. Like, everything about this movie works in ways you think it wouldn't. Like, even tying into, like, fucking Batman v Superman. One of my most hated movies of all time. They tie it into that, and I'm like, oh wow, that works. Because they did it in a way that works with the characters, works with the story, works with the universe they're in. Like, everything about this movie works so well. Initially when I first saw it, I didn't like the opening with Lionel Luthor from Smallville and Mark Strong as a child. But going back a second time, rewatching it, I was like, no, dude, this is a great way to open this movie. Also, I really like, oh, what's the actor? Is it it's Zachary something. Whoever plays Shazam, Zachary Levi, is that his name? That is. He plays the adult Shazam. I don't know who plays Kid Shazam. But both those actors, they feel like the same character when he switches between them. Whereas sometimes, like when it's a kid actor and adult actor, they don't feel like the same character at all. But it works in this movie. Like, this is probably one of the best DC movies, besides one we'll get to later. So good. It didn't do well financially, or it didn't do as well as I expected, maybe. But go see this if you haven't, because it is truly just, whew, so good. Alright, coming in number 39. A cult classic, this one is The Boondock Saints, directed by Troy Duffy. This is by Norman Reedus and Sean Patrick Flannery, who, coincidentally, was the young Indiana Jones. Remember talking about him? Anyway, So Norman Reedus and Sean Patrick Flannery basically play two brothers who are super, super Catholic religious. Like, they are the most religious guys you'll ever see on film, besides maybe, like, if you're watching a preacher film or something. Anyway, they are so religious, and they decide they're tired of all the corruption and crime and rape and, like, murder and stuff in the world, that they are gonna get some guns and go kill bad people, kill mobsters, kill rapists, kill all bad people. And Willem Dafoe plays a cop who is just, his performance is so over the top and borderline silly at times, but it just works in this movie. And just, I know this movie's not great. Like, I know that. It has its flaws. But overall, I really, really like this movie. I'm still banking on the third, man. This is the year it should have happened, because this is from 99, the second one came out in 2009, 2019 should have been Boondock Saints 3, but alas, we have no threequel yet.
Is that right, Rambo?
Alright, get your stupid fucking robe.
Coming in, number 38, a more recent movie, The Shape of Water, directed by Guillermo del Toro, who's behind such acclaimed films as like the Hellboy series, Blade 2, and Pacific Rim. I love this guy's work. It was really a toss-up for me between some of his movies. I was like, what should I include? But overall, I think The Shape of Water is his best movie. I know it's, people call it overrated because it won Best Picture or whatever, and it shouldn't have or whatever. But awards don't matter to me at all. This is just a good movie. I had an absolutely delightful time in seeing this one in theaters. I saw it in a theater I don't normally go to. It had really high ceilings and like looked kind of old-timey, and it just set the scene for this old-timey movie, and it just felt amazing. And just the cast and crew and just everything about this movie, it just works. It's basically just Creature of the Black Lagoon meets a lady and they have fish sex, but it works, man. It's so good. And General Zod is in this. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. I'm so bad at names when it comes down to crunch time. Michael Shannon. Michael Shannon plays basically like a government operative who's like trying to get back the fish creature. This is just, it's an amazing movie. You got the stepfather from, you got Robert Doback from Step Brothers as the main actress's a friend in the movie. I can't remember her name either. She's an actress I don't recall off the top of my head. But this is a truly, truly amazing movie. It's heartfelt and it's romantic. Really beautifully shot. I love the cinematography on this one, and I love the setting and the location. And it's set in, I want to say, like the 40s or 50s or something like that. It's old-timey, and it works. It's so good. It's just, I think, a delightful, charming movie, and it's really well done.
I can handle poop. Blood? Blood just does something to me.
Number 37. We're going to do a few slew comedies here. So number 37 is Elf, directed by Jon Favreau. And you know what? This is probably one of my favorite Christmas movies, depending on something else down the list a little bit. But I saw this in theaters as a kid, and this is one, I watch every year around Christmas time. It's my favorite Christmas movie. I love this more than, any other Christmas movie. I don't know what I was going to say there. Will Ferrell, as an elf, real elf, who, while he's a real human who, as a kid went to the North Pole and was raised as an elf, and Santa Claus is real, and yeah, it's just him going to the mainland to meet his real dad, and you've seen Elf. Come on, you've seen it. And oh man, the snowball fight where he's like just whipping fucking snowballs at those kids. Oh, I love this movie. And also there's tons of videos on YouTube where you can watch people eating the breakfast that Buddy eats, like where it's like waffles with like it's pasta with like sugar and maple syrup and all that shit mixed in, and great movie.
Let's go.
Coming in at number 36, Superbad, directed by Greg Mottola. Superbad, I think, is a bona fide classic. It's over 10 years old, so maybe I don't know, what's the standard for a classic? Is it 20 years? Well, I'm saying this one's a fucking classic. You got McLovin, you got Seth Rogen, Bill Hader as some goofball cops, Jonah Hill and Michael Cera as the main characters based on Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, who wrote the movie. This one's great. Like, I remember the first time seeing this, just dying laughing at parts. Specifically, the dick pictures part, where he's drawing all the dick pics. Oh my god, still going back to that part, it like has me in tears from laughing so hard. This movie is so good. It's fucking hilarious. Just about a couple of guys who want to drink some beer, and it started the career essentially of like all of those guys. Like Michael Cera was doing alright for himself because he was like on Arrested Development and doing movies, but after that he really went on to do a lot of stuff. Jonah Hill went on to do a bunch. McLovin, what's his name, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, he did Role Models after that, and has moved on to a bunch of other stuff. So this movie's great. I can go back and watch this so much.
I love that stuff. Been drinking it for years. I heard they recently decided to add more hops to it.
Coming in number 35, another comedy. This is I Love You Man, directed and written by John Hamburg, starring Jason Segel, Paul Rudd, and Rashida Jones. And it's got like a whole bunch of cameos in it. Like Andy Samberg's in this, J.K. Simmons, fucking Lou Ferrigno, Joe Latrigio is in this. He's also in Superbad, but he's in this. It was really a toss-up for me between like Superbad and I Love You Man. Like, where do I want those two? So I just was like, oh, I gotta do them together. This is, I think, a genuine great comedy. Like, this is a comedy really well done. Just two friends, two bros, hanging out, making music together, just living life. And just, it's heartfelt, it's funny, it's amazing. I think this is one of the best comedies of the last decade. It's from 2009, so I think this is one of the best comedies of the last decade.
I'll get you on the flip side. Here we go, come on.
Hey, thanks a lot for hooking me up with Elmo over there. That was a blast. What? That guy's cool.
Coming in number 34, we got Logan, directed by James Mangold. Logan is truly phenomenal. This is Hugh Jackman's last outing as, Logan, James Howlett, the Wolverine, whatever you want to call him. And this is truly, I think, the best movie of the entire X-Men franchise. It's better than the Deadpool movies. It's better than the X-Men First Class films. Better than the X-Men OG trilogy. This is the best, X-Men movie there is. It is so good. Hugh Jackman's performance in this is top-notch. Patrick Stewart in this is top-notch. You got Stephen Merchant as Caliban in this one. Like, whoever the dude from The Predator is, I can't remember his name. Whatever, the bad guy is great. I can't remember the actor's name, but he's really good in this. Technically, Hugh Jackman does a double performance because he plays, Logan, and he plays X-20 whatever. X-23 is in this. She's the daughter of Logan, or the clone. And just, this is so bloody and just fantastic. If you ever watch the black and white cut, it's amazing. And truly bloody. This is a great movie. And right off the bat, like, he's like slices a dude's head off, and he's like, fuck this, fuck that. And you're like, holy shit, this is gonna be a hard R movie. And it's great.
Guys, seriously, you don't want to do this.
Number 33, George of the Jungle, watch out for that tree. Ah! George of the Jungle, directed by Sam Wiseman, or Wiseman, however you pronounce that. This is starring Brendan Fraser, Leslie Mann, John Cleese as Ape the Ape, and Thomas Hayden Church as Lyle Vandegroot. It's basically Tarzan, but it's George. He lives in the jungle, he's raised by apes, and, he meets Ursula, who's Leslie Mann. She's dating Lyle Vandegroot, but she breaks up with him, brings George back to the city. They fall in love, and then they move to the jungle. And I've loved this since I was a kid. Like, I quote this all the time, almost daily. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. Well, I mean, obviously it's on this list, but, like, this is just a bona fide classic to me. Specifically the bit, I talk about this with my brother all the time, the bit where he gets the new shoes, and he, like, laces them up, and, like, the bird comes out of the box, and then he sprints off, and he's running back to Africa. Oh, I love it. Chef's kiss this movie is, I tell you what.
Sometimes George get bigger bucks.
Number 32, Little Miss Sunshine. Directed by Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Ferris. I'm pretty sure they're a married couple who wrote and directed this movie. I'm not sure on the facts, but I think that's correct. This movie is truly amazing about it's a dysfunctional family who's just trying to get their little daughter to a beauty pageant. She's not the most beautiful child or whatever, but she feels good about herself. She's got self-esteem, and they want to do this for her to make her happy. And this is truly just a heartfelt story with a great, great cast. Especially what's his name? Steve Carell is phenomenal in this. Paul Dano is great. He's one of my favorite actors in this movie. Greg Kinnear is great. Abigail Breslin. Just so many. This is such a funny, dramatic, sad, just heartfelt, touching movie. And just, so good.
Oh, think of the suffering you're gonna miss. I mean, high school, those are your prime suffering years. They don't get better suffering than that.
Alright, coming in at number 31, rounding out the first 20 of our top 50 list. This is It, from 2017, directed by Andy Muschietti, I think is how you pronounce it. This is a truly, truly fantastic horror film. One of the best, in my opinion. Like, it is just... The storytelling is fantastic in this. I've never read the book of it. I'm not a book guy. I actually saw the original 90s It after I'd seen this movie. This one is just phenomenal. Alex Skarsgård as Pennywise is just... he's scary looking. He looks like a fucking weirdo, you know what I mean? And then the part with the teeth and everything, and there's so much blood in this movie. It's super gory, and it's great. Finn Wolfhard and all the other children actors are fantastic in this. Henry Bowers, the kid with the knife, oh my god, he's a crazy kid. That actor is just... kid actors rarely impress me, but this crew is just so good. This movie is truly, truly fantastic. One of the best horror films of the last decade, in my opinion, except for one we'll get to in a little bit.
I'll take all of you, and I'll feast on your flesh as I feed on your fear.
Alright, so that was the first 20 movies of my top 50 list. Stay tuned for the next video. It should be out in a couple days or whenever it gets released. It'll be number 30 all the way to number 11, like I said. And then the third video will be just the top 10. So that's what we're doing, folks and yolks. That's an egg joke. Yeah, let me know what you thought of my list so far. Is there anything surprising? Anything you do? What do you think? I guess just anything you're surprised about. Like we always say, like this video, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. You can follow the channel. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Punk Rock Blues. I'm on everything. Instagram, Twitter, Stardust, @BadTracy01. It's right here. Lex, my brother, who's usually in videos, his stuff is all right here. And then make sure you go to our Patreon at patreon.com/punkrockblues. Donate some money. If you throw in $3, your name will be in the end of the video and during the credits. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's all. Stay tuned for more. Bye.